The green flame burned behind Bobby's left eye, ancient and hungry. "Kill him," whispered the voice only he could hear. "Show them all what a god can do." Bobby's hands trembled as emerald energy crackled between his fingers. The tournament arena fell silent. The most powerful student in the academy lay at his feet, fear replacing arrogance. 1 week earlier, Bobby had been nothing, a failure, a disgrace. Now he carried the legacy of something far beyond human understanding, and it was changing him with each passing hour. 1 week earlier, Bobby punched the air, desperately trying to summon his chi powers. Sweat poured down his face in thick rivulets. His chi flickered weakly, a pathetic orange glow that died before extending past his fingertips, the lowest tier in the Academy's power system. Not even strong enough to light a candle. Other students had brilliant blue flames or crackling purple lightning. Bobby had nothing. He was an ordinary boy in an extraordinary world where power determined destiny. No looks to turn heads, no money for enhancements, and chi powers so weak that instructors winced watching him try. If he didn't earn his orange belt within 2 months, the Academy would expel him, his future destroyed. "I will get my orange belt," Bobby muttered, punching harder as sweat stung his eyes. "I have to. Oye, loser!" A voice shattered his concentration. Tom stood there, surrounded by his crew of elite students. Their designer uniforms gleamed with expensive chi-enhancing threads. Tom's fist glowed with mid-tier blue energy as he pointed at Bobby. From the edge of the training ground, a taller student watched with cold eyes. Peter, Tom's older brother and the Academy's champion. His presence made even instructors nervous. "Don't embarrass me," Peter called to his brother before walking away. A blue-black aura, the rare 8th-tier energy, briefly flashed around his shoulders as he left footprints that smoldered in the concrete. "No amount of practice is going to help your pathetic chi. Face it, you don't have it in you," Tom shouted, his laughter echoing across the training ground. The other students joined in, pointing and laughing at Bobby's sweat-soaked uniform. Bobby kept practicing, each move precisely as the textbook showed. If he stopped, he'd never get his orange belt. If he never got his orange belt, he'd be thrown out of the academy, expelled, disgraced. "I am talking to you, shitface," Tom snarled. A blast of blue energy shot from Tom's hand, slamming into Bobby's chest. The impact knocked him to his knees. Pain exploded through his ribs. The air around him smelled of burnt cloth and skin. "Why don't you try your moves on me, huh? Show me what you got." Tom's face twisted with spite, his eyes glowing blue with power. Bobby didn't move, didn't take the bait. Tom's chi powers ranked 4th in the Academy's 8-tier system. Bobby's powers barely registered on the 1st tier. Fighting back meant suicide. Tom's friends circled Bobby. Blue energy blasts hit him from all sides. Each impact left burning marks on his skin. His uniform tore. Blood trickled from his nose and split lip. Before long, Bobby lay in the dirt, a bloody mess, his uniform shredded and smoking, face swollen, one eye already blackening. Tom leaned down, grabbing Bobby's hair and yanking his head up. "Give up on chi. It's not for weak vermin like you." Bobby limped home, each step sending pain through his battered body. Blood stained what remained of his white uniform. The sun set behind him, painting the sky blood red, a backdrop to his shame. If he didn't get stronger, this beating would be just the beginning. Without an orange belt, he'd be expelled and marked as chi deficient for life. He pushed open his front door. His parents sat at the dinner table. Their eyes widened in horror at his appearance. "Who did this?" his father demanded, face hardening like stone. His voice held no warmth, no concern, only cold anger. "No one," Bobby whispered, blood dripping onto the polished floor. "You can't even protect yourself, can you?" His father slammed his fist on the table. The dishes rattled. Pathetic. Bobby's mother rushed to him, her hands fluttering over his injuries without touching. "Honey, did someone beat you at practice?" Panic filled her voice. "No, Mom, it's just—" Bobby's voice died as his father slapped a letter onto the table. "You better buckle up, boy. This letter came from school today." His father's voice cut like ice. "If you don't get an orange belt in the next 2 months, you will be thrown out, expelled. Do you understand?" Bobby stared at the red seal of the Academy on the letter. His heart pounded in his ears. Without certification, he'd joined the ranks of the powerless, sweeping streets, carrying packages for the powered elite. No future, no respect, nothing. You are an absolute disgrace to this family. His father crumpled the letter and threw it, hitting Bobby's bloody face. Rage surged through Bobby's veins, hot and electric. For a moment, the teacup on the table shook without being touched. A hairline crack appeared in its surface, but no one noticed. Bobby stormed out into the night. Rain instantly soaked through his torn uniform, washing blood down his legs. Thunder boomed overhead, illuminating his path in strobing white flashes. "Where do you think you're going? I am not done talking to you." His father's voice faded behind him as Bobby ran. He ran until his lungs burned with fire. His legs trembled from exhaustion. The cold rain numbed his skin, turning his fingers blue. Lightning split the sky above him, illuminating the empty park where he finally collapsed to his knees. Bobby looked up through the stinging rain, his eyes swollen shut from Tom's beating, his future destroyed without the orange belt. His father's disgust burned into his mind. Thunder ripped across the sky. A massive bolt fractured the clouds. Then Bobby saw it, a black energy, different from normal lightning. It cut through the storm like a knife, heading straight for him. It struck his chest with terrifying force. Searing pain consumed every cell in his body. His back arched as electricity coursed through him, rewroting his DNA. His vision filled with blinding white light, the air filled with the scent of ozone and something ancient, something not of this world. "So you are here. I have waited an infinity for you." The voice wasn't human, not animal. Something ancient, powerful. It vibrated through Bobby's bones. "A worthy successor of my bloodline, to carry the legacy of the gods." "Well, what?" Bobby stammered, his body still crackling with energy. Another flash of white light blinded him. Through it came a round green flame hurtling toward his face. The flame slammed into his left eye, burning through to his very soul. "Ah!" Bobby's scream echoed across the empty park as he dropped to his knees, clutching his face. Death seemed certain, the pain unbearable. The grass withered in a perfect circle around him, turning brown and then to dust. "You now carry power greater than the gods, to rule all that lives and beyond. Fulfill your destiny." The voice boomed again. "But who? Who are you? What is happening?" Bobby gasped, blood running from his left eye. Darkness took him. Bobby woke to searing pain in his left eye. Beeping machines surrounded his hospital bed. His mother's tear-stained face appeared above him. "Thank God you're awake," she sobbed, clutching his hand. "What happened?" Bobby's throat felt raw from screaming. "A lightning bolt struck you." His mother's voice dropped to a whisper. "You were declared dead for 3 minutes." Bobby sat up straight, ignoring the pain shooting through his body. So the voice and the green flames were just a dream? His mother's brow wrinkled with concern. "Flames? Voices? Hon, I think you're still in shock. You need to rest." She gently pushed him back onto the bed. The moment his head touched the pillow, pain shot through his left eye like a white-hot poker. "Ah," Bobby screamed, clutching his face. "What is it, love?" His mother hovered over him, panicked. His eye burned as if someone had pressed molten metal into it. The voice returned, thundering inside his skull. "You are a worthy successor of my bloodline. You have God's eye." "No!" Bobby shouted, thrashing in the hospital bed. "You will follow your destiny. No!" Bobby's scream echoed through the hospital room. Machines beeped frantically. The lights flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness. Nurses rushed in with flashlights. "Bobby! Bobby!" His mother's panicked voice barely registered. Bobby's eyes snapped open. He breathed hard, his lungs burning with each inhale. His mother's worried face hovered inches from his, her eyes wide with fear. "Shh, you're all right. You're all right. Let's go to the doctor." Her voice was soft, trembling. "No, I am fine. I just need a minute." Bobby struggled to control his breathing. If they discovered what had happened to him, they might take away this new power, his only chance to save his future. Okay, whatever you want, hun." She stared at him strangely, head tilted, as if seeing something different about him. Bobby felt it too. Something had changed fundamentally within him. That night at dinner, Bobby sat across from his father, who refused to look at him. The beating, the expulsion threat, the storm, No one mentioned any of it. Bobby's mother kept stealing glances at him, her fork pausing halfway to her mouth each time. Bobby shoveled food into his mouth. An inexplicable hunger consumed him. He needed to eat more, more. The hunger seemed bottomless but didn't feel entirely like physical hunger. As he devoured his third plate, a tiny sound caught his attention, a faint buzz, a slight whoosh of air. Bobby tilted his head, focusing. He heard wings fluttering, heard the rapid beating of a tiny heart. He turned to see a fly hovering near the light fixture. But he didn't just see the fly, he saw through it. Its skeleton-like legs covered in fuzzy hair, its compound eyes purple with white irises. He could count each wing beat. His hand shot out with impossible speed. He snatched the fly from mid-air, brought it toward his mouth. The hunger demanded it. He looked up to see his parents staring, mouths open in shock. Excuse me, Bobby mumbled, suddenly embarrassed. He pushed back from the table so quickly his chair crashed to the floor. Dishes rattled. He ran to his room and slammed the door. Bobby ripped off his shirt in front of the mirror. He froze, staring at his reflection. "What in the hell?" he whispered. Where once stood a scrawny, weak boy, now stood someone else entirely. Muscles rippled across his chest and arms, muscles that had appeared overnight. He had always been thin, wiry, but now he flexed. Thick cords of muscle bunched beneath his skin, veins protruded along his forearms. "No way!" Bobby laughed in disbelief. He leaned closer to the mirror, examining his left eye. It still stung, but looked normal. The same brown color. No sign of the green flame. But something lurked beneath the surface. Power. Waiting. Am I still me? Bobby wondered, tracing the new contours of his face. Or am I becoming something else? Bobby grabbed his backpack, slung it over his newly muscled shoulders, and ran toward the training ground. He didn't bother taking the bus. He ran. His feet barely touched the ground. Buildings blurred past him. At the training ground, Bobby felt power surging through him. Pure, undiluted energy crackling beneath his skin. He punched the air. Green chai energy exploded from his fist, shattering a nearby training dummy and leaving the metal beneath it partially melted. He kicked. More green energy. Power unlike anything he'd ever felt. Electronic devices flickered and died within 20 feet of him. Birds took flight from nearby trees, sensing the unnatural energy. The more he practiced, the stronger the power grew. With each move, the green energy intensified. His left eye throbbed in rhythm with his heartbeat. If he got this power under control, no one would dare expel him. The orange belt would be nothing. "You don't learn, do you?" A familiar voice interrupted his training. Bobby turned slowly. Tom stood there with his crew, their faces twisted in sneers. Tom's fists already glowed blue with chai energy. "Learn from who? An overbearing, arrogant prick like you?" Bobby replied, surprising himself with his confidence. The smile dropped instantly from Tom's face. Rage replaced it. He raised his hand, chi energy crackling around his fingers. Blue energy bolts shot toward Bobby. Time seemed to slow. Bobby saw each bolt's trajectory with perfect clarity. He stepped aside effortlessly, leaving after images as he moved. The bolts missed by inches, exploding against the wall behind him. Tom fired again and again. Bobby dodged each blast as if Tom were moving in slow motion. Tom stood red-faced, panting. Sweat dripped from his chin. Confusion and fear replaced his usual arrogance. No one in the training ground dared breathe. "You trash! You've dug your own grave," Tom snarled, but uncertainty edged his voice. Before Tom could attack again, Bobby called to something deep within himself. The ground trembled beneath his feet. Wind whipped around him, tearing at his clothes. The clear sky darkened as clouds materialized, swirling above the training ground. Lightning crackled between the clouds, reflecting in the wide eyes of watching students. Plants withered in a widening circle around him. A nearby water fountain boiled and steamed. Green energy pulsed along Bobby's arms. His left eye burned. He raised his hand, feeling power gathering at his fingertips. He released it. "Ah!" Bobby screamed as the power tore through him. A bolt of green energy brighter than the sun shot from his hand. It struck Tom square in the chest. The impact threw him 20 feet backward. He crashed into a wall and slid to the ground. After the deafening explosion came silence. Complete, terrified silence. Bobby stared at his hand, green energy still flickering between his fingers. Horror washed over him. "No!" he whispered. Had he killed Tom? No way, he did it, a girl whispered, breaking the silence.
And in one go, too,
Another added, awe in her voice. Peter's going to hear about this, someone whispered. The name sent a chill through the crowd. Tom's older brother wasn't just the academy champion, he was the headmaster's nephew, and he protected what was his. The world stood still. Bobby's fingers trembled with residual energy. He had just defeated the academy's highest-ranking fighter with a single move. The same fighter who had beaten him bloody just yesterday. Tom lay in the dirt, his designer uniform torn and smoking, his face covered in soot, his eyes wide with disbelief. How is this possible? How can I lose to you? Tom struggled to his feet, a nerve ticking rapidly in his neck. You used some dirty trick. No way can a juvenile dipshit without even a yellow belt beat me. Tom snarled, his voice cracking with humiliation. Bobby felt everyone watching him, hundreds of eyes boring into him. He turned to leave. He needed to understand what was happening to him. I demand a fight, Tom shouted after him. Not today, Tom. I think we both have had enough for one day, Bobby replied, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Bobby hurried away, feeling power still surging through his veins. His left eye throbbed with each heartbeat. Fight, you coward! Fight! Tom's desperate scream echoed across the training ground. Without turning, Bobby sensed the attack coming, felt Tom's chi energy hurtling toward his back. He flipped his wrist casually, caught the blue flames in his hand, and slammed them into the ground. The earth split with an ear-splitting boom. Cracks spider-webbed across the concrete. Students jumped back, gasping. Bobby didn't wait for their reactions. He ran, faster than humanly possible. He needed to be alone to test these new powers. Miles from the academy, deep in the forest preserve, Bobby stopped. Sweat covered his body, yet he wasn't tired, not even breathing hard. Bobby felt someone watching him. He turned to see a figure in the distance, taller than Tom, with the same cruel eyes. Peter, the academy champion. Blue-black energy, the 8th and highest tier in the Chi system, crackled briefly around his fists before he vanished into the shadows without a word. Bobby shuddered, but stood his ground. He knew there was only one way to truly test his powers, the flaming metal fist, the most difficult chi technique taught at the academy. Masters spent years perfecting it. Bobby closed his eyes, centered himself, called the energy forward. His fists glowed green. Metal seemed to form over his knuckles, not blue like Tom's, but emerald green, crackling with electricity. Flames danced along his forearms. The technique worked perfectly on his first try, leaving scorch marks on nearby trees. Could it be? Is the eye's abilities directly bonded to my own strength? Bobby whispered to himself. He practiced more techniques, academy level, master level, forbidden techniques he'd only read about in ancient scrolls. All came to him naturally, as if he'd known them for centuries. The more he practiced, the more power surged through him. The tick in his left eye intensified until he had to stop, closing his eyes to steady his racing heart. Behind his closed lids, he saw it again, green flames burning in pitch darkness. The voice returned. To continue my bloodline of the eye, you will rule everyone, control every race. You lucky youngster, do not disappoint me. This time, Bobby didn't fight it. The voice comforted him, empowered him, though part of him wondered if these thoughts were truly his own. With this power, no one would ever call him weak again. No one would ever threaten to expel him. He would rise above them all. Night fell. Exhausted but exhilarated, Bobby made his way home. Sweat drenched his clothes. His muscles ached pleasantly. A shroud of silence hung over the house as he entered. His father's door remained closed. Bobby dragged his tired feet to his bedroom. The moment his head hit the pillow, sleep claimed him instantly. His dreams filled with green flames and whispered promises of power beyond imagination. When Bobby's eyes snapped open the next morning, he knew immediately. The world as he knew no longer existed. Smoke filled his nostrils, heat pressed against his skin like a physical weight. Bobby leapt from his bed, coughing. Flames licked up the walls of his bedroom. Orange-red tongues of fire consumed his curtains, his desk, his books. The academy expulsion letter curled and blackened on his nightstand. "Mom! Dad!" Bobby shouted, running into the hallway. The living room was an inferno. Furniture crackled and popped as fire devoured everything. No sign of his parents anywhere. Bobby crashed through the front door, lungs burning. He collapsed on the lawn, gasping for clean air. As he looked up, a shadow fell across him. A tall figure blocked the morning sun. Powerful, imposing. The air around him shimmered with suppressed chi energy. "So you're the one who humiliated my little brother." The voice was cold, calculating. Bobby recognized him immediately from academy tournaments. Peter, Tom's older brother. "Senior champion, blue-black chi, the academy's deadliest fighter, I didn't—" Bobby began. Silence. Peter's voice cut through the air like a blade. His eyes glowed with barely contained power. "I'm here to deliver a message." Peter crouched down, his face inches from Bobby's. "Leave the academy today. Withdraw your name from the tournament tonight. Disappear." His chi energy crackled around his fingers, black with hints of blue. "If you don't, I will slaughter you in the arena. My uncle has agreed to match us in the first round." Bobby's heart hammered in his chest. Peter wasn't just Tom's brother. He was the nephew of the academy's headmaster, the most privileged, most powerful student in the entire school. "You burned my house." Rage built inside Bobby, green energy flickering at his fingertips. "My parents, relax. They weren't home." Peter's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Consider it a warning. Next time it won't be just property." Bobby stood up, his legs steadier than they had any right to be. The god's eye pulsed within him, feeding him strength. "No," the word hung in the air between them. "What did you say?" Peter's eyes narrowed to slits. "I'm not leaving." Bobby met his gaze. "I'll see you in the tournament." Peter's laugh was like ice cracking. "Your funeral." He turned and walked away, each step leaving a smoldering footprint in the grass. Bobby watched his house burn to ashes. Everything gone. Every possession, every memory, but the loss only hardened his resolve. The tournament arena buzzed with excitement. Hundreds of students filled the stands. Teachers and masters sat in reserved boxes. The headmaster, Peter's uncle, watched from his elevated platform, his face an impassive mask. Bobby entered the preparation area, his heart steady. Other fighters gave him a wide berth. News of his victory over Tom had spread like wildfire. The speaker system crackled to life. "Welcome to the Academy's annual tournament. First match, first-year student Bobby versus third-year champion Peter." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. First years never fought third years in the opening round. Never. Bobby stepped into the arena. The circular fighting platform gleamed under bright lights. Peter stood waiting, confidence radiating from his stance. "You should have run while you had the chance," Peter called, his voice carrying across the arena. Bobby said nothing. He centered himself, feeling the power of the god's eye humming just beneath the surface. "Begin!" The headmaster's voice boomed through the speakers. Peter moved like lightning. One moment he stood across the arena, the next he was inches from Bobby. His fist, encased in blue-black chi energy, slammed into Bobby's chest. The impact sent Bobby flying backward. He crashed into the arena wall. Pain exploded through his body. Bobby pushed himself up, wobbling. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. "Is that all you've got?" Peter taunted. "My brother said you knocked him out with one hit. I'm disappointed." Bobby focused, drawing on the power within. Green energy crackled around his hands. He summoned everything he had learned about the flaming metal fist. His fists glowed emerald green. Metal formed over his knuckles, crackling with electricity. Flames danced along his forearms. "Impossible," Peter whispered, eyes widening. "That's a master-level technique." Bobby charged forward, the flaming metal fist raised high. The crowd gasped collectively. The two fighters met in the center of the arena. Bobby's green fist collided with Peter's blue-black shield. A shockwave pulsed outward from the impact. Spectators grabbed the railings to steady themselves. Bobby poured everything into his attack. The god's eye burned in his left socket. Green energy surged through his veins. But it wasn't enough. Peter's shield held firm. Then, with a flick of his wrist, he dispersed Bobby's technique as if swatting away a fly. "My turn," Peter whispered. A blast of blue-black energy exploded from Peter's palm. It struck Bobby square in the chest. The force lifted him off his feet and slammed him into the ground. Bobby lay stunned, his energy depleted. The flaming metal fist had taken everything he had. His muscles refused to respond, his vision blurred. The god's eye, his only hope, seemed to have abandoned him. Peter walked slowly toward him, savoring the moment. "I told you I would slaughter you," he said softly, for Bobby's ears alone. "My uncle wants to make an example of you. No one defies the natural order at this academy. Bobby tried to move, couldn't. Peter raised his hand, chi energy gathering into a deadly point. One strike would end it all. "Any last words, God's Eye?" Peter mocked. The crowd fell silent, sensing the killing intent. This had gone beyond a tournament match. Suddenly, a mechanical whirring echoed through the arena. All eyes turned upward. The massive domed roof was opening, sliding apart to reveal the night sky. Dark clouds swirled overhead, appearing from nowhere. Lightning flashed between them. Thunder rumbled, shaking the entire structure. Peter hesitated, distracted by the unexpected development. "Who ordered the roof open?" his uncle shouted from his platform. No one answered. Bobby's left eye began to burn, not with pain, with power. He looked up through the open roof. There, in the center of the storm clouds, a giant green eye stared down at the arena. At him. Worthy Successor. The familiar voice thundered in Bobby's mind. Green energy surged through his body. His depleted strength returned 10-fold, 100-fold. The arena floor melted beneath him as he rose to his feet. Green lightning crackled across his skin. Peter stumbled backward, fear replacing confidence. "What are you?" he whispered. Bobby's left eye glowed emerald green, illuminating the entire arena. "I am the Successor," Bobby said, his voice overlaid with another, older voice. "I carry the legacy of the gods." Will Bobby master the God's Eye power, or will it consume him completely? Can Bobby defeat Peter and the Academy's corrupt leadership, or is he destined to become exactly what they fear? What price will Bobby have to pay for wielding power greater than the gods? Bobby discovers a secret society of God-marked warriors hidden within the Academy. The government's Chi Enforcement Division arrives, led by a woman with an emerald eye that mirrors Bobby's own. And the headmaster reveals the true purpose of the tournaments: to harvest chi energy for a forbidden ritual to awaken something beneath the arena floor.